Hey everyone, welcome back. This is part 2 of our Halloween live color along and giveaways. Last week we took this page and we got this far with it. We added the green glow to the face and around the face, and there were lots of really cool art techniques that we learned. This week we're going to take it a step further, and I'm going to color the roses and the skull, and I will teach you how I was able to make the roses red and the skull actually skull colored and still apply the green glow to them and make it all look good in the end. So stick around, this is going to be a really fun show. If you're joining us live, make sure to be subscribed to the channel. Make sure to be in the live chat because live chat is where all the fun is happening. The 2 giveaways that are happening today will happen in the live chat. Last week we produced 2 winners. This week we'll produce 2 winners as well. And our prizes are a little bit different today. Our first prize is huge. It is going to be a 50% discount to one lucky winner on any art course in my art academy. It's easy to draw. Our second prize today will be one of the 2 remaining boxes of Black Widow pencils. We have the original Black Widow set left and the Cobra set. If you missed the live event and if you're just tuning in and watching a recording of this, please do enjoy the show. This is actually a lesson. This is a 90-minute or a 2-hour lesson on this amazing technique on how to make this page glow with our chartreuse magical evil Halloween glow. So do enjoy the show. Drop me a comment if you have any questions or if you want to say anything at all. And without further ado, let's just get rolling. So this page that we're working on today is from my book, Knights and Mares Halloween. That book is, of course, available on Etsy and on Amazon. All links to everything are in the video description, as always, so you can just click and follow and get this book. Also, the page itself is a free gift to everyone who is a member of my community in It's Easy to Draw Academy. So just follow all the links, join the community. There's a section there called gift pages. The page is up there. Just download it, print it, color along with me. And picking up right where we left off, we are going to start once again with my favorite tool, white charcoal. If you missed the last session of this, I am working on green toned paper, very lightly green toned paper. This is cardstock, 65-pound cardstock. I get my cardstock from Michaels. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it in other stores. I think Walmart carries it now. Cardstock is really easy to come by. And the beauty of getting it personally, physically in the art store is that it comes in every imaginable color. The set that I got is this thick and it has all the different colors in it, and there are different kinds of sets. You can get individual pages, you can get like reams of this paper. It's quite amazing. So cardstock is like my new obsession to color on. Do keep in mind that it's a little bit trickier to work on than Strathmore paper, which is my usual paper for coloring. But Strathmore only comes in gray, tan, and blue, which is suspiciously identical to gray. So there aren't that many options. Gray is a perfectly good choice for this as well. But since I'm into color these days, this light green is what I went with. Plus, green is such a prominent color in this entire composition that it was nice to give it the green undertone. So if you're coloring along with me, please feel free to use any color paper, but I do recommend some kind of toned paper rather than just white. However, if you're working directly in the book and it's a physical copy of the book that you got on Amazon, then obviously you have to deal with white paper. And if that's the case, if you're working on white paper, you don't need the white charcoal. You can skip that step entirely. Now this next step, our terracotta brown, this is going to take quite a bit of time, so buckle up. This is an investment. For those of you who are my private students or who have gone through any one of my coloring or art courses, you probably already know all about my underpainting technique. I am a classically trained oil painter by trade, and I do carry a lot of those oil painting habits into my coloring and into my pencil and even pen art. So, an underpainting is something that we do quite often in oil painting. And that's when we take sepia colors and we create the entire composition with light and shadow in this sepia brown so that we know where the light and shadow goes, and also that we have that nice earthy undertone. Some of you may have seen me do this with realistic portraits, with hyper realistic portraits, especially if anyone remembers my Gal Gadot, the Wonder Woman tutorial on how to draw and color hyper realistic portraits. I invest quite heavily in underpainting there. I do the entire portrait with everything in light sepia, and then I come in with my colors. This is very similar. Obviously, this piece right here isn't hyper realistic. It's very cartoony, it's very fantasy, it's over the top. Our lighting is amazing, but it's not at all realistic. So, this is over the top, obnoxious Halloween gothic style coloring. So underpainting doesn't have to be as delicate, as dainty as I would make it in a proper hyper realistic piece. So I'm actually going very heavy with this terracotta undertone. If you're following along with me, I am popping up all the exact names of every single color that I introduce on the screen in those big block orange letters up on the top. I don't want to keep the letters up for the entire video, so they only pop up when the color pops up. And speaking of popping up, something else is happening on the screen. This is my trick-or-treat friend, one of my trick-or-treat friends. This is Halloween, and I am trick-or-treating. I am treating you guys to a lot of gifts, a lot of giveaways. I treat Halloween pretty much as Christmas. I like to spoil you. I like to give you a lot of opportunities to buy things at huge discounts or even to acquire them for free. So I'm asking for a little bit of treat in return. So please, if you can spare anything at all, toss a coin for your teacher, drop me a super chat if you're watching this as a rerun, hit that thank you button, and drop me a little something this Halloween season. So my little trick-or-treat friends will be popping up on the screen throughout the show. Please don't neglect them. Drop me something in the tip jar, and I thank you kindly. Speaking of support and treats and gifts, if you enjoy what I do on this channel, if you enjoy my tutorials and my lessons and all the things that I do for you for free here on YouTube, please consider supporting this channel. There are multiple ways that you can do that. You can become a patron. On Patreon, I have a bunch of tiers to choose from. All of them come with amazing benefits, and 2 of them come with actual very valuable behind the scenes full lessons for a very reasonable price. So do consider becoming a patron. You may also consider becoming a channel member. A YouTube channel membership is quite different from a YouTube subscription. All of you here are subscribed. Thank you very much. However, if you wish to actually support this channel, as in financially, you may wish to become a member. Click the big join button. I have 3 tiers that I offer on this channel. You can see that some of the names of our chatters in the live stream appear in green. Those are my channel members. You have your very own emojis. You get additional free gifts. And my channel members have a higher chance of winning giveaways. So that's a huge reason to join as a member. So do consider doing that. And of course, we do have super chats. Super chat gets bumped up to the top of the chat, and I will pop it out on the screen for everyone to see and to thank you for your donation and your message. So with all that stuff out of the way, happy Halloween and whatnot, back to our coloring. Look at how heavily I'm applying this terracotta layer. But remember, or discover if you're completely new on this channel, that it is important to keep your pressure low. Those of you who know me are used to me talking about pencil pressure. We never want to grind our pencils into the page. You want to keep your pressure as light as possible. Well, don't go crazy. You don't want to be so timid that you're barely adding any pigment at all. Apply a normal steady pressure, but don't actually grind it into the page. Your hand shouldn't be getting tired from coloring. This should be relaxing and enjoyable. The way that we get a stronger saturation of color on the page is by layering over and over and over again. And of course, having high quality pencils help. Some pencils, no matter how much you layer them, no matter how much pressure you apply, you're still not going to get very strong pigment, and those are just not very high quality, not very professional pencils. I'm working with Prismacolor pencils. Those are as high-end as you can possibly get. They're some of the best brands out there. The other brands that I recommend working with are, of course, Black Widow pencils. I am a huge fan and a longtime advocate of Black Widow pencils. Not sponsored by any of these brands, but I always recommend the ones that I prefer. So Prismacolors, 100%. Black Widow pencils, 100%. Some other brands that I like are Faber-Castells. I'm a surprisingly big fan of Brute Thinner these days. That brand is a budget brand, but they're actually a really nice budget brand pencil. Zenacolor is a budget brand that I've reviewed on this channel that also turned out to be pretty good. Castle Art is something that I was on the fence about for a long time. I didn't really believe in them. I didn't think that exactly what I was just talking about, the saturation level was just not that impressive with Castle Arts for me. But they grew on me, and they are designated for a particular type of art, for a more controlled, maybe for a beginner colorist, for a more timid type of colorist, and for colorists who are more interested in realism, hyperrealism, because Castle Arts are designed to go from lighter to darker. So you really build up those colors, you really build up those tones and shades. So for those type of colorists, Castle Art is great. But for this kind of super vibrant, out of this world, dark, high contrast gothic stuff, I wouldn't recommend Castle Art. I would go with Prismacolor or Black Widow or Faber-Castell. And I'm coloring this rose very much like I would color it if it was actually brown. In the beginning of the show, you saw a sneak preview of what the finished version of this piece will look like. And all three objects, the two roses, the skull, and also the extra object, the fourth object, her gown, will all have a very strong brown undertone. However, each object will clearly have its own color plus the green glow on top. So there's going to be a lot of color management here. If you're interested in the actual science of how to pick your pencils, how to determine a good brand from a not so good brand, how to balance your colors, how to understand the importance of contrast, how to use color combos, and the entire university level science behind color theory, I invite you to join my course in the Academy called How to Use Colored Pencils Like a Pro. That is my flagship course, and that's the course that I recommend for every colorist to start with. However, there are no prerequisite courses if you want to start with fantasy glow effects or light illusions or how to color gemstones or skin tones. Go for it. The Academy is your oyster. Play with it, do with it as you wish. And speaking of the Academy, I am running a sale in the Academy right now, so don't miss out on that. There's a big Halloween sale happening from now until actual Halloween, and that is 15% off everything that I offer in the Academy, every single course, every single individual course. So do swing by and check it out. Some of my courses are very fitting for Halloween. I have an actual Halloween Gothic coloring course up there. It's a mini course with a 15% discount. It's practically free. So definitely swing by and check it out. It's a fast one too, because it's a mini course. So you can definitely crank that out before Halloween and do something special for your other coloring groups, for your other coloring communities that you may belong to. But then there are also such things as fantasy glow effects where we do potions and jack-o'-lanterns and all that stuff. Just swing by the academy. Every single course comes with a free preview lesson, or actually 2 or 3 free preview lessons, I think, so you can start getting a feel for it to see if that's something for you or not before you commit to anything. Every single course also comes with a payment plan option, so check those out as well. The academy has grown quite a bit. I have at least 9 courses up there right now, and more will happen. And also remember that one of our giveaways that's coming up later in the show is going to be 50% off any course of your choice in the academy as well. So stick around for that. We will produce that winner today. So big, huge hello to everyone who is joining. If you're brand new on my channel, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for joining. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so that you can actually join the live chat. Live chat is where all the fun is happening. That's where all the giveaways will happen. And of course, it's just fun to chat with people. You can see everyone chatting above my head. All of those are real life people in the chat right now. Say hello and continue the conversation. Keep talking, keep showing us your work. Join our Discord server. It's Easy to Draw Academy has its own Discord server, and that's where the conversation keeps going forever and ever. That's also where all the announcements happen. So never miss a show, never miss an event or a new sale or offer that I have going on. I am announcing everything that's important in my Discord server. It has several rooms. There's a place where you can meet up with other people. There's a place where you can show your work. And if you want to chat with me directly, that's the place to be as well. And here we go again. Trick or treat, trick or treat. Please don't neglect my little trick or treat bag. Drop me a coin. Say thank you if you enjoy what I do. And of course, super chats get bumped up to the top of the chat. So if I didn't see your comment or it rolled off the screen, I didn't respond to you, please use the super chat option to get bumped up to the top, and then I will immediately take care of that question. Last week, we ran this show. By we, I mean me and my lovely assistant, Shelby. We ran this show in this new format where I am a recording. I hope by now you figured this out. If you just joined the show, I am a recording. And the real me is in the live chat. I am chatting with you as we speak. All of you gave me huge thumbs up for this format, said that you love it, so we're doing it again. This time you said that it's not confusing at all to have 2 of me, a living one and a recorded one. So this seems to be the format that works for everyone, and it's very safe. This way we don't have any audio issues or video issues with YouTube at all because everything is already pre-recorded. So unless the internet actually goes down, this is a very safe format, and I'm enjoying a great deal being in the live chat with you. But having said that, obviously I can't answer your questions in real time with my voice, but I can answer your questions in real time in chat, as I am doing right now. Anything at all that you need to ask me about technique, if you want a direct link to anything, please don't be shy. Talk to me. I am in the live chat right now answering people's questions and just chatting. Notice that I bring my Q-tip in even for the pencil layer, not just for white charcoal. And with pencils, the Q-tip doesn't make that much of a difference. It's like a tiny, very subtle effect. But with certain papers, it makes more of a difference than with others. And with certain pencils, for instance, with Black Widow on gray Strathmore paper, it makes a little bit more of a difference. You get that slight diffused look. Your sketch marks will disappear just a little bit more, and everything will look just a bit more smooth. Here on this cardstock paper, it makes, I don't know, maybe like 2% difference. But I'm all about tiny details. You know, I always tell you guys, devil's in the details. If you can make it just a little bit smoother, just a little bit cleaner, go for it. Obviously we like our little hash marks. We like for our art to look artisanal, to look handmade, but we also like to push ourselves and to try different effects. If we can make it a little bit smoother, a little bit more realistic, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Always try to improve your skill, always try to improve your technique. So remember that this terracotta color is our underpainting. So we're coloring everything that we're planning to color during the session, which means her gown, both of the roses, and the skull with this terracotta, applying light and shadow effects, making all of these objects look a little bit more three-dimensional, and also establishing which one of them is the darkest object and which ones are the lighter ones. In my vision, the rose on the left is the darkest one. It's going to be blood red, nearly black. The rose on the right is actually going to be a pink rose, but we're still going to manage to make it look gothic. And the skull, of course, is going to be a natural skull color, which, by the way, is not white. Natural bone color isn't white at all. We make bones look white by bleaching them. And by we, I mean people who work with bones and remains. I used to be a taxidermy artist for a little bit, for a few years, and I worked with skulls and bones quite a bit. Not human skulls, but animal skulls. However, all bone behaves the same way, and when you have a natural bone, especially if it's been in the earth for some time, it comes out looking very brownish, very ivory kind of colored. It's not at all white. The way that I would get my skulls to be white is I would actually have a bleach bath for them and turn them white. But personally, I prefer the natural look of bone much better, and especially for gothic art, for Halloween art, for creepy effects, the natural look of a skull is much better. And a lot of those dark patterns, dark areas on the skulls, on the bones, are actual dirt and grime. And probably you don't want to hear any more about this, because then it will get pretty technical and a little bit gruesome. But we'll stick with just dirt and dust and grime. I won't tell you anything else that's that's actually involved in the process, because it's a little bit disgusting if you think about it. But this is a skull that I want to look a little bit more rugged, a little bit more rustic. So I'm adding this terracotta quite heavily. So the colors that you guys are seeing on the screen, these are not enhanced in any way. You can see my natural skin tone there on my hand. So this terracotta is actually, that's how it naturally looks. The drawing is actually behind me on my drawing board, but it looks like Jack's hand is covering most of it. But this terracotta color is quite strong. It's a very intense color. Notice that I'm able to control the intensity of this color with pressure and with the lightness of my hand and the direction of my strokes, and also how many layers I'm adding. So I'm able to go from white to very heavy terracotta with just muscle control. And that is something that I teach very heavily in my How to Use Colored Pencils Like a Pro course as well. So if you're thinking about taking your coloring skills just a notch higher, or actually quite a few notches higher, and really becoming a professional artist, a professional colorist, then do consider taking that course. It has been very rewarding for the hundreds of people who have already gone through it. And the way that I teach, as many of you are discovering in the Academy right now, is I am a firm believer in teaching you how to fish rather than handing you a fish. In these YouTube tutorials, I like to do color alongs. We like to chat and play. This is all fun and games. You're welcome to use every single color that I pop up on the screen and match my pencils and create this same effect, which is fun. But it doesn't actually teach you how to make your own decisions. In my courses, which I spend lots of days and months designing and filming and delivering to you, actually years at this point. I've been teaching for years. So every single course is a product of years of fine-tuning my teaching style and my delivery method of information. And in my courses, I am very heavy on giving you lots and lots of technique, lots of science, lots of practice exercises, but also opening many doors for you so that you can learn to make your own artistic decisions. And at the end of each course, you will be one step closer to gaining your own personal art style. And if any of you here in the live chat are students of mine right now, don't be shy. Please speak up, share your experiences. Tell my new audience members how you feel about the Academy, what your experience is, if this is in fact true, if you have discovered your own artistic style, if you have improved, if you enjoy this method of teaching where it's not just I do, you copy, I do, you copy, and that's it. Now you're on your own. It's I do, you copy, and you learn. You know, I don't want you guys to hold my hand forever. I want to produce artists. I want you to continue onwards after every graduation and just make your own art, make your own decisions, and grow as an artist. And that is something that I believe in firmly. All right, so look at this, what's happening on the screen right now. We have completed our rose on the left, which will be our darkest. I already started adding some shadows to the gown, which I'm still undecided on the ultimate color of it. It will remain a mystery color. I think in the movie it's actually white. We'll keep it like maybe like a dirty white. You know, if we're going with a dirty grimy skull, we might as well have a dirty grimy gown that she's wearing. Maybe she was just unearthed or something. So I've completed the rose on the left, which will be my darkest. I've completed my skull, and by completed I mean just the underpainting. We're still not adding any actual designated colors to these elements. But notice that just with this one pencil, with this one pigment, the terracotta brown, we are already telling the story of potential color. It's already obvious that the rose on the left is going to be a different color, is going to be ultimately much darker than the skull, and the skull is clearly light colored, even though it has a lot of texture, has a lot of grime. We have the darkness in the eye sockets already. It's clearly lighter. And this rose that I'm working on right now is going to be lighter than the rose on the left as well. It's going to be like a peachy pink tea rose, a very dainty flower that will still manage to make it look gothic and creepy and awesome and make everything work together. Right now, it may not seem so. It looks like what we are creating with this terracotta is radically different from what we've already established with the green glow on the face and the background and the hair. But remember what the final outcome will look like. I'll pop it up on the screen right now. Everything will be brought together in the end. So if you're watching this live, if you're watching this as a recording, either way, make sure to stay to the very end to see the actual green glow magic happen. Notice that with both roses, never mind. We have a giveaway. Giveaway time. Yay! Everyone stop doing whatever you're doing. Get in the live chat right now. The giveaway starts right now. Type in the word rose in the live chat. Make sure that you are actually subscribed to the channel, that you're actually in the live chat. Type in the word rose. All the roses are scrolling off the screen above me. I am sure of it. You can type it in as many times as you want. That's not going to increase your chances of winning at all. Nor is it going to boot you off the giveaway. As long as you type it in once, caps, no caps, it doesn't matter. As long as the word rose appears in the live chat, you are in the giveaway. And our prize for this giveaway is 50% off any one of my courses, drawing or coloring, in It's Easy to Draw Academy. If you already have all the courses, which some of you do, then you may wish to take a rain check for a course that will happen in the future. That's a possibility as well. So we have 1 minute left on the clock. If you're just joining the show, we're running a giveaway. So type in the word rose in the live chat and you will automatically join the giveaway. And in just 50 seconds, we will produce a winner. I love giveaways. In the meantime, as the live chat is going crazy with the word rose, I am going to take this moment to take a breather and to slurp my coffee. 30 seconds left on the clock. Do not miss out. Join the giveaway, type in the word, and I am going to do hand puppets in the meantime. I should probably play music for these giveaways. We decided that 2 minutes is a good time for the giveaways, but it's really hard to talk about nothing for 2 minutes. I should play like the Jeopardy theme or something for this time. All right, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Woohoo! We have a winner. Congratulations. The winner's name is appearing on the screen. Everyone is saying congratulations. And please do send me a private message in Discord and let me know which one of the courses you would like to get a discount on. And I will create a personal discount code for you that will allow you to take that course for 50% off. So congratulations again to our winner. Thank you everyone for playing. We have one more giveaway that will appear at some random time during the show before the show ends. And for that one, we will be giving away one of the 2 boxes of Black Widow pencils that I have left, the original ones. And that will be either the original Black Widow, the very first one, a collectible, or the Cobra set. Right, the Cobra set. The Scorpion went out last week. This week, it's the Cobra or the Black Widow. So stick around. Don't miss that one. Loads and loads of fun. Alrighty, back to actually coloring. I am about half an hour into this coloring in real time, and I am still working on that underpainting. This rose on the right is my lighter rose, and notice the cool textures that I'm adding to it with just individual strokes of the pencil from the tip of the petal inwards. That is a very cool effect for roses, whether you're doing them in this weird gothic style or in a realistic style. I have quite a few videos on my YouTube channel on how to color roses. I have one for realistic white roses with like this patchy white sunlight. I have a tea rose that we did in a live stream. In my Halloween Gothic coloring course, we do a Gothic rose. There's a teaser on my main YouTube channel page for that as well. So lots and lots of roses. Even though I'm not actually a huge fan of roses, I do spend quite a bit of time drawing them and adding them to my Gothic art. In the Gothic Raven page, we did a purple rose that's up on my YouTube channel somewhere as well. And of course, in the Halloween Gothic mini course, I go in depth on how to color the blood red Gothic rose. Roses are an excellent addition to any Gothic art piece, and it's really cool to be able to color them in all sorts of different colors. Just because it's a Gothic rose doesn't mean that it has to be solid black or solid red. You can have them in white, you can have them in pink, as I will demonstrate on this one. Green, blue, purple, any color at all. It's not about the color of the rose, it's about the entire presentation of the piece and high contrast. So trick or treat, trick or treat. Ah, there's another one of my friends with a big, huge trick or treat bag. I hope it's getting full of surprises and gifts from you guys. Thank you so much for all of your super chats, all of your donations, and for everything that you do to support this channel. I greatly appreciate it. I put a lot of time and work into this. This is my only job, you guys. So I spend all of my days in the studio right here, making art for you, making content for you. So I highly, highly appreciate that you guys drop me a coin every now and then. Thank you very much. And especially this Halloween season. Like I said, I treat Halloween pretty much like Christmas. So I like giving away lots of gifts, lots of discounts, lots of treats for you, new content, all this fun stuff. So if you are feeling generous as well and thankful as well, and you appreciate the things that I do, please do drop me a coin. Thank you kindly. And also remember to hit that big huge like button, subscribe to the channel, and join the live chat. If you are actually watching this show live, there is no reason to sit out the live chat. We are having so much fun actually chatting. And of course, you do have to be a channel subscriber to be able to join the giveaways. So finally, okay, this looks like it's coming to an end, this undercoat, this underpainting of primer with terracotta. is taking quite a bit of time. It's very important to actually sit down and commit to this kind of a layer. It makes a huge difference in the end. As you can see, again, throughout the show, I'm going to pop up the final result of what this will look like. And it's amazing. I am so happy with how this turned out. And the only reason that this was possible to bring everything together so well is this underpainting layer. Do not neglect it. It's very tempting for colorists to do things one element at a time, like a mosaic or a stained glass window. A rose, let's color it from start to finish, make it red. A skull, let's color it from start to finish, make it white. Another rose, let's color it from start to finish, make it yellow or something. And it works for individual elements, but then when you look at the whole piece, it just doesn't really work together. It just looks a little bit childish. The light source isn't consistent, and the whole thing just doesn't scream amazing professional art. But sometimes, as you're scrolling through Facebook or Instagram and looking at all of the amazing submissions that people have, or through my Discord server and seeing all the amazing works that people are submitting, you will see something that just pops out at you and you're like, wow, that's really professional. And usually those professional pieces stand out because the artist understands light and shadow and understands color theory, understands how to prime your subject, how to really invest in the future of that color as it develops. So once again, please feel free to follow along with me in this particular tutorial. If you are just joining, I am working with Prismacolor pencils. The color that I'm working with is terracotta. And we have finally come to an end of this primer layer. And now we can start adding actual colors to our elements. Pick a nice, deep purple burgundy color. This is Black Cherry that I'm working with. Again, all the names of every new pencil that I'm bringing in will be popping up on the screen in those big orange letters, or rather big white letters on an orange background. Something catchy. And the color that this is Black Cherry. If you have the full Prismacolor set, please feel free to follow along with me and use every single pencil exactly the way that I'm using it. However, I am also a strong believer in achieving the same effect with any tools. So as long as you have any other brand of colored pencils, I mean, obviously you need a certain amount of pencils to work with if you want to produce professional results. You want to have a broad spectrum of pencils, which incidentally is also something that I teach in How to Use Colored Pencils Like a Pro. The course is I teach you how to calibrate your pencils that you already have and to figure out if they are useful, if there's a whole bunch of pencils there that you will never use, if you're missing certain types of pencils, if the brand you're working with is even right for the type of art that you want to do. A lot of us like to purchase art supplies. Many of us have tons and tons of different boxes of pencils of different brands just because we saw someone else using them, or because they were on sale, or because they were gifts from someone. And many of those are very high quality pencils, and many of those are not. So I am a victim to this as well. I have so many art supplies in my studio, and not all of them are professional. Many of them are just mainstream kind of crappy pencils that aren't really well calibrated, and many of them will never be used. So if you want to really understand the science behind the tool that we're working with, this magical thing called the colored pencil, there's actually a lot to learn. There's a lot to it. So many times I have a colorist following along with me on a color along, and they do everything exactly the way that I do, and the effect comes out to be a little bit different, and they don't understand what happened. They're like, well, what went wrong? I did add this fifth layer of, sky blue, and it just doesn't look the way that it looks on your demo. What happened? Well, that all comes down to supplies and also how you use them. It's a matter of your pencil, it's a matter of your paper, it's even a matter of your lighting in your studio, and of course, how you use the tool, your own pressure, the way that you hold a pencil. The science there is just amazing. There's so much to learn. My trick-or-treat kitties will keep popping up on the screen. If you're just tuning in, please remember to drop me a super chat or a super thanks if you're watching this as a rerun, and drop me a treat or two in my little trick-or-treat bag. And I thank you kindly for that. For those of you who are here from the beginning of the show and stay for the entire thing, sorry that I have to repeat myself over and over again. But that's how it goes with live streams. People come and go. Some of you may be just tuning in and have no idea what's going on. So for those of you, I will keep repeating things. So please do remember to hit that like button. Remember to hit the subscribe button. It doesn't just help my channel and help you stay connected with what's going on the channel, but it also puts you in a live chat. And live chat is where all the fun is. You can't chat unless you are a subscriber. So please do hit that button and join the fun. Again, if you're just tuning in, the color that we're working with is Black Cherry, and we're applying it over our primer. We did this primer layer, this underpainting with Terracotta Brown, and now we're adding actual colors to our elements. I want this rose on the left to be the darkest. I want it to be deep, dark blood red, but not just like velvet blood red, almost black, like blood in the moon kind of an effect. So this is a very gothic image, very creepy, very elegant, and I want it to be over the top gothic, over the top glamorous, very classic. So my first layer was terracotta. My new layer now is this Black Cherry. Some of you may be hesitant to work with layers, especially beginner colorists like to just work one color at a time. I teach layering very heavily in all of my courses and in all of my tutorials because that's the professional way of applying colored pencils to paper to create amazing, amazing results in any style. This first layer took a long time. We're about, I don't know, 45, 50 minutes into the live stream. It's about 40 minutes on my actual coloring clock. So the first layer took about half an hour, a little bit more than half an hour, but the second one was just a couple of minutes. With layers, that's the investment. Your underpainting will take the longest time, but every new layer that you add will be that much faster and that much easier. Because we already have that primer color, the new colors will actually lay down much easier. So you don't have to apply any pressure to your page. You don't have to spend extra time to make sure that everything is smoothly colored. I'm adding this beautiful dark red right now, and look how easily it's layering on top. Like it's almost like painting with paint and brushes. It's incredible, and you get these beautiful gradient transitions. So don't neglect that underpainting layer. It's hugely important. Does it apply in every single situation? Should you prime every single page with this underpainting layer? No, you don't. Sometimes it's a better effect and sometimes it's unnecessary. In this case, because I'm going so heavy on the gothic effect, I did a very strong underpainting with high contrast and with very high saturation, with full saturation in some areas on that terracotta brown. But look also how that underpainting is affecting all of the new colors that I'm adding. This red now, I am just so pleased with this red. This makes me very happy. On the previous stream, you guys saw that I was a little bit hesitant, a little bit uncomfortable at times because of all of the green. I hate green. I hate working with green with pencils. So it was properly scary, like Halloween scary for me to be working with all of that green. It was a challenge. But I do like how it turned out. I do like the creepy green glow. But you know, the process of working with green pencils, and I'm sure you have that. I'm sure every single one of you in the chat right now has that color that you just don't like working with. Like you may have to add it every once in a while. Like a lot of people don't like working with yellow. A lot of people don't like working with black. For me, it's green. This color that I'm adding right now, again, if you're following along with me exactly and specifically following every single color, this is a 20% French gray, which I often use as a blender. So 20% French gray in the Prismacolor set, even if you don't have the full set, even if you're working with a different brand, I recommend getting this pencil as a blender because it does work with other brands. Mixing brands is perfectly fine. Just, keep your wax pencils together and don't go mixing the types of pencils, but brands are perfectly fine to mix, and some of them mix better than others. Like I mentioned on the previous show, the Prismacolor and Black Widow combo is something that I'm a big fan of. And Castle Arts also work very well with some other brands mixed in together. So again, notice that I'm adding this highlight color and this blender color right over all the darkness that I've already established. And once again, I'm doing those strokes from the outer part of the petal to the inner part of the flower to create the rose petal texture. And that is something that's making me very happy. This whole color combo with the deep burgundies and the black and the creams and the grays, like I'm in heaven right now. This makes me so much more comfortable than all the green that I did last time. And again, you probably have colors like that just make you happy to work with. In the end, it was worth the suffering. The green turned out to be absolutely gorgeous, and it pops against my reds and my browns. But the process of working with it is what really upsets me. It's not something that I would do for relaxation or for stress relief. This, however, is these colors. I'm in heaven, absolutely in heaven. Now I'm bringing in my black, my actual just plain a Prismacolor black. We'll be using black a lot on this piece because it's a Gothic piece, and we do want black to be heavily present, but we also want that high contrast. So again, I'll keep saying this over and over again. Every new layer is much friendlier, much simpler, but only if you properly invested in that underpainting, in that undertone. So now I have so many layers already. I have that terracotta layer, I have my black cherry layer, I have the red, and I have a little bit of highlights with my 20% French gray, and all of that is on top of toned paper. Now I'm coming in with black. That black just layers on like butter. It's so smooth. It's so gentle. A lot of colorists are very timid with black, very discouraged from using black, especially adding it. Oh, trick or treat, trick or treat. Don't neglect my little trick or treat bag. I thank you all very kindly for all of your donations and all of your super chats. It does make a huge difference in my life and in my business and everything that I do for you guys here on YouTube. So thank you so much, and happy Halloween to you as well. So black, lots of people are intimidated by the black pencil, by adding it to their beautiful coloring, especially adding it in the process of creating new shades of color, as I'm doing right now. This isn't a black rose. This is a deep burgundy blood red rose that I just want to be so intense and so Gothic that there isn't a burgundy pencil that's dark enough. So I make my rose a deep burgundy, and then I add that sheen of black to create a shade of burgundy as dark as possible. And the only way to do that is with a light layer of that black pencil. And it's scary, it's intimidating. A lot of times, if you don't layer well, that final layer of black is just going to look a little patchy, a little choppy. And if you're not working with a professional pencil brand or not on the correct type of paper, then you may even have some flaking happening on your layers. But notice, if you've seen any of my work, if you followed any of my tutorials on YouTube, or if you've taken any of my courses, you've seen me add as many as 20 layers of color to a single spot on the page, and I never have any kind of discoloration, unwanted discoloration, or any kind of flaking or anything, any kind of damage to the colors, any kind of damage to the wax, the pigment of the pencils. And why is that? It's because I know how to layer. It's because I'm working on high quality paper, I'm working with high quality pencils, and I am layering smartly in the order that actually makes sense. And above all, I'm not using a lot of pressure. I'm just letting the pigment lay on the page naturally. If I want more pigment, I just go over that area over and over again until I get to the saturation level that I want. So that's extremely important. You can layer forever and ever and never ruin your page. But it does happen. If it happens, it's not the end of the world. It just means that there's some things that we need to tweak in your process. So if something like that is happening to you, don't be shy. Shoot me a message, on my Discord server. I'm not always around to chat privately because obviously I have things that I'm working on. But I am around. I do check my Discord messages. If you want to send me a photo of what you're working on, I'll be happy to take a look at it and give you my feedback on what I think is going on. And of course, like I mentioned, I teach all of this stuff in my courses. This is looking pretty good, isn't it? Oh my God, I'm just so happy, you guys. It's like, this is so radically different from last week. Like you can see that my smile is like ear to ear because these kinds of colors, these kinds of effects just make me so happy. This is the kind of art that I do for stress relief. This is the kind of art that I do just to, you know, just to soothe my soul, soothe my little black heart. Just makes me so happy. And black in general, once I've already set up all of my colors and the whole object is close to what I want it to look in the end, especially in this style, in this heavy gothic style, coming in with black just brings everything together. It puts the contrast in there. It puts the high contrast exactly at the level where I want it to be. Obviously, our highest contrast imaginable is black and white. So in any colorful image, we want some pure black and we want some pure white, and that way your image will be balanced. For these leaves, for the rose leaves, I want them to be almost solid black, but with a few highlights here and there. But generally, I want them to just be black. I don't want to bring in any green pigment to this composition other than the green glow. So everything that's roses and skulls is going to be in this reddish, brownish, creamy kind of realm. But in the end, we'll bring in that green glow. So very, very smooth. I'm barely pressing on the page, but look at how nice and clean and solid that black is. Very, very smooth. And of course, the pencils are very much to thank for that as well. The Prismacolor Black is my favorite black pencil. The Prismacolor White is my favorite white pencil. And of course, that Prismacolor 20% French Gray is my favorite blender pencil. So those are the three pencils that I recommend that all of you just have as separate items. Even if you don't have the full Prismacolor set, you can get them all as individual items on Amazon. At this point, probably all of you already know what the little trick or treat bag means, so do drop me that super chat, and I thank you so much. If you're watching this as a rerun, if you're watching this as a recording, you're obviously not in the live chat, but you can still drop me a super thanks. There's a button underneath your screen that looks like a little heart. If you click that, you can toss a coin to your teacher, and I will thank you kindly. Oh, and looks like my little trick-or-treat friends are actually blocking part of the coloring. They'll get off the screen in just a second. We're still working with black. We're adding all of that beautiful high contrast to our darker rose. And once that's done, we'll move on to our next subject. So let's change the subject. Who's working on what this Halloween season? Let me know in the live chat. Are you participating in any kind of an event? Are you taking any one of my courses? Are you taking the Halloween Gothic coloring mini course? Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Is anyone working on this actual piece? If you are, please post what you're working on in my Discord server. Remember that we have a Discord server where you can share your work in progress. You can get feedback from your peers, chat about anything you want at all. We don't really have any rules in our Discord server. Just be nice. It's like our only rule in all of our communities everywhere. Just be nice, try to keep it art related and have fun. And we've never had any issues at all. Every single community that I've set up with you guys have been a very, very safe place for people to chat and to get actual useful feedback on their art if they wish to have that. Not everyone wants feedback. Sometimes you just want to post your work and that's it. And that's perfectly fine too. But if you do want feedback, be open about it and people will give you constructive criticism on on your work and give you some tips. We have a whole section on art supplies that's just blowing up with conversation, people sharing what they know, sharing the tools that they like to use and the ways of using them. All right, we're bringing in a new type of red. This is crimson red. I think this is the red that I tried using on the lips last week on our girl, and it just didn't look right. Oh no, it wasn't on the lips. It was on the scars, and I didn't like it, and I switched to pomegranate. But now this red is perfect for my rose, my second rose, the later one. Notice once again, I am doing more concentration of color in the center of the rose. That's just my personal style. I like doing that with roses, regardless of what color the rose is. I like giving the little burst of color in the center that just looks so delicious to me, especially with tea roses, pink roses, and red roses. I like to give the stronger burst of red in the center of the rose. And once again, working on that petal texture with the little strokes is something that's going to make your rose look a lot more realistic, a lot more interesting. So here we don't have as many layers of pigment as we did on the heavier colored rose, on the darker rose. Here we only have a little bit of terracotta over our actual naked page, the light green cardstock paper, the 60-pound cardstock, 65-pound cardstock. So it's just a little bit of terracotta, a lot of the naked page itself, and that's it. And so technically this is just my second layer of color here, so there's a little bit more work that I will need to do, and I'm adding my pressure very, very lightly. But still, this is going by very fast. This is a quick effect. I'm actually going to use the color of the paper, the background of the paper, as a strong undertone to this rose. Remember that I chose this pale green paper on purpose because I knew that I was going to have a strong green glow. So it's a very clever undertone for my whole composition. Will all of this work on any other kind of paper? Absolutely, 100%. You can achieve the same effect following every single one of my steps from the very beginning until the very end, and you will achieve the same effect on any color paper, but you may have to make tiny adjustments in terms of the amount of layers, and in some cases primer. If you want to achieve the same exact effect, the color of the paper matters less than the darkness of the paper. This paper is very pale. This is lighter than our typical Strathmore toned paper, much lighter. This is probably like 10 or 15% toned, whereas the Strathmore paper is like 40% toned. So for this exact effect, make sure that your paper is very lightly toned. But the color itself doesn't matter that much. The colors that I would recommend here are any kind of a green, any kind of a gray. Lavender, I think, might be interesting, but it could push it away in a slightly different direction. That will still be very attractive, but quite different from what I have here. Any kind of a light brown, light cream will work here because it will enhance our primer here with the underpainting, of course, but then your green will have to contend with it, will have to compete with it. So do consider that. And for areas that you want to be as pure in color as possible and actually light in pigment, you may wish to prime it even heavier with your white charcoal. So these are all the things that you have to consider in your own art. It doesn't even have to match mine perfectly. That's not the measure of good art. It's not how well I can copy Lisa's art. Let yours be yours. Let it be different. If you don't even want to add the green glow and follow my strategy, but make the glow blue or purple or yellow, or make everything and just black, red, and white, that's perfectly fine as well. A lot of you do this. A lot of you take my tutorials and follow along with me, but with your own colors, and create absolutely phenomenal works of art. Again, if you want to see people's works, join my community or join my Discord server. You can see a lot of beautiful, beautiful inspirational work that people are posting. And of course, I invite you to share your own. The color that I'm adding right now to my little tea rose is beige. And for this step, any kind of a light cream color will work. It can be a little bit on the yellowish side if you wish. It can be a little bit on the pinkish side, but it does have to be very, very light. I am pretty much using this color as a blender and not really as a pigment. What I really want to stand out in this rose is all the reds. So I'm coming in with yet another red. Of course, I've pre-selected a whole bunch of different colors that are just sitting next to me, next to my drawing board, and I'm pulling out of that bundle of colors, and I'm testing them on my paper to see if I like that color. And I'm concentrating all of that beautiful red pigment in the center of my rose. And it's such a delicious, beautiful effect to me. I really love it. So do consider doing that. You can apply the same effect to any kind of a rose on any kind of a coloring page. So you don't have to take it the extra few steps to make it look all dark and creepy and gothic. This is a perfectly beautiful, delicate rose that you can add to a Victorian style coloring or a romantic Valentine's Day coloring. That's perfectly fine. It doesn't have to be all dark and gothic. Ooh, another kitty. Please don't neglect my little trick-or-treat friends who are very shamelessly begging for super chats and super thanks. I thank you all who already made a donation, who already put a coin in my tip jar. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. Remember that there are other ways of supporting this channel if you like what I do. Do consider becoming a patron. I'm going to put a link to everything in the video description so you can just click on the link and go there. Consider becoming a patron. Consider becoming a channel member. Remember that channel members, remember. This is the part of the show where I get totally goofy and forget how to speak. Remember that channel members have a much higher chance of winning giveaways. And I do run giveaways on this show quite a bit, so it's worth investing in that. And of course, it helps me out a bit. And it gets you some special privileges and treats every now and then. I do treat you guys very well with all of the services that I offer. So on Patreon, I don't just collect money from you for supporting me. I actually offer really high-end, valuable services in return and gifts and all those things. So do swing by, read the tiers, pick the one that's right for you, and join. Alrighty. What is happening on the screen here? Look at all of these reds that we've already invested into this rose. Now I'm coming in with dark umber. When in doubt, when it's not quite time for pure black yet, but you still need to up the shades of a certain color, especially if you're working in the warm realm, in the red realm, in the purple realm, then coming in with a super, super dark brown is a better way than coming in with just jet black. So in this case, I chose dark umber, which is so dark, it's almost black. That's a beautiful color that the Prismacolor set offers. In the Black Widow sets, throughout the whole spread of all the Black Widow sets, I don't remember exactly which pencil belongs where, but in the Black Widow sets, you also have some really beautiful dark, like super dark browns that will work here quite well as well. So not every single pencil set has a dark brown that's this dark. If you don't have a dark brown that's this dark, then go with black. But be very, very gentle. We want just a little bit of darkness here, not pure black. Not yet. At this point, I'm just building up this red to make sure that it's really as creepy and gothic as I want it to be. If you're doing a natural rose and not a gothic rose, then probably you don't even need this step at all. It's already there. You know, the red was your last step. But if you're following along with me exactly, and if you're creating this gothic effect, then we want that oomph. We want those patches of really dark darkness. So we want dark brown. We want dark blue. You can bring in an ultramarine blue in here. And of course, black. In this particular one, I'm not using any blue at all, which is highly unusual for me. But I don't want to muddy the waters. You know, I want to stay in this realm of like what's my color combo, you guys? Those of you who have taken color theory, or those of you who are going through how to use colored pencils like a pro, what's my actual color combo here? What am I betting on? I mean, obviously there are many things happening here. I have my higher contrast, and I have my gradient transitions, and we have the light greens and the dark greens and everything. But if you strip everything away, what are my two basic colors that make everything pop, and what kind of color combo is that? I'm not going to answer that in voice on the recording, but we'll talk about it in the live chat. There is a main underlying color combo that's happening here that's not very obvious, but if you strip away everything, all the bells and whistles, then it will become very obvious what the color combo is. And on top of that, there are color combos within the color combo that's happening, and that's quite interesting. But there is one main effect that's making this whole thing work. With the skull, if you're going for the same natural rustic look as I am, feel free to freehand some little textures and imperfections to the skull. That's always very desirable. I already have some little hash marks and dots on the skull to guide you, and some lines, some cracks here and there, but notice how much freehand stuff I've added to the skull. I've added a lot of texture to the gum line where the teeth are attached. I'm adding a lot of little pock marks around the eyes. Like, skulls get damaged. Skulls are not perfectly flawless. They're not like polished ivory, you know, they are imperfect, and that's the beauty of them. We want the skull to look a little creepy. We want him, I mean, skulls are creepy to begin with, but we want him to look not like a lab specimen. We want him to look like he just got unearthed. So lots and lots of browns, lots and lots of shading, and add those freehand imperfections. Just let your hand flow. Don't overthink it. Work with the speed that feels right to you. Speaking of which, this entire recording, this entire coloring, I am showing in real time, in real speed. I'm not speeding through any of this. This is actually the speed with which my hand moves on the paper. So that's also something that I talk a lot about in my courses, is the speed at which you create certain effects. There is no right or wrong in terms of speed, and certainly there's no right or wrong in terms of how long a certain work of art takes you. But there are certain speeds that are better for certain effects, and that's worth looking into. Here comes my favorite blender pencil, the 20% French Gray, and with it, I am doing what? Blending. This is the perfect example of how the blender pencil works. And it's not technically called the blender pencil, it's just something that I call it because I use it for the blending effect. And this, bringing in the 20% French Gray over everything that we've already done, creates the perfect bone color. So again, if you're just tuning in, the way that we're achieving this effect on the skull right now, and there are many more colors to come yet. Don't tune off. Don't think that this is done. There's still a lot of work to be done. There's still new colors that will be introduced to the skull. But what we have so far is we primed it with white charcoal on our pale green 65-pound cardstock paper. Then we've added a bunch of shading with terracotta brown, which we used for an underpainting for that whole area with the flowers and the skull. And then we've added some higher contrast with our burnt umber, which is a really dark brown. I've also added a lot of texture with that really dark brown pencil. And now I'm blending everything very smoothly with my 20% French Gray, which is creating this beautiful natural bone color. So again, if you're coloring a skull in a different page, in a different setting, you don't want it to be all creepy and gothic. And if you don't want the green glow on it, because obviously not every skull is going to have a green glow on it, this one will, but not every other skull on every other page will. So if you're just coloring a skull in a different setting, then this is far enough. This is already a beautiful natural skull look. Maybe a little bit of yellowish ochre there will make it even better. for a different setting. But for us, we will actually add that green glow to it. Now back to black. Every time I establish the general look of something, I'm coming in with my black to add that oomph, to add that higher contrast, and to bring out all of that detail. And it just looks so beautiful. Those leaves, those rose leaves, they were getting a little bit lost in all of that terracotta over terracotta. Everything is in this terracotta realm. So now bringing in that black, all of a sudden the contrast makes it visible. Remember that the human eye perceives contrast a lot stronger than it does color. So color selection ultimately doesn't matter as much as high contrast. I can make this piece look amazing in just black and white and have the same feel to it. All of this can be done in a completely different color scheme, and it will look just as amazing as long as you keep that contrast level at what it is here. So especially for Gothic coloring, contrast is extremely important. You want that high contrast, you want pure black, you want pure white, and you want lots of little detail in between. And at this point in the coloring is where I discovered that I actually want a little bit more texture in those leaves. In the original illustration, you can see that there are lots of little lines on the leaves, and my first instinct was just to paint the leaves a solid black, which is what I was starting to do on the left side of the canvas there on my dark rose. But then on this one, I kind of started outlining those little veins on the leaves, and it looks really good. I'm super happy with it. Trick or treat, trick or treat, trick or treat. Don't neglect my little trick or treat bag, please. Drop me a super chat. Drop me a super thanks. Say thank you and happy Halloween. But on these leaves, I'm like, I still want them to be really dark. I still want that pure black in there, but the texture is really nice. Those leaf lines are quite interesting, but I don't want it to be too busy. There's a lot happening on this page already. We have so much happening with the main character. We have so much happening with the roses, like lots of textures. Plus, remember, we still have that background to deal with. That's super detailed. We have like little skulls and little Victorian wallpaper designs in the background. I still have to do that at some point. So there's lots and lots of detail on this page. This is a very rich page with information and detail. And drawing out every single rose leaf with every single vein in it, I thought would just be too busy. You want your images to be readable from a distance as well as up close. That's one of the reasons why I didn't do so much work on her hair. Her hair is such a huge element, but it's like a block of black. I wanted to be not too overwhelming with detail. So the hair, I just kept solid black with a few of those little chartreuse highlights. Same thing on these leaves. I want the leaves to not take away from all of the beautiful detail that I'm adding to the rest of this page. So I want them to be as simple as possible. But there are little compromises here and there that you can make. Not everything is cast in stone. It doesn't have to be just a solid color to come across as a solid color. You can have a little bit of a texture in there, which is exactly what I did. And of course, all those decisions are possible to make on the spot if you invested the time in that underpainting. The underpainting was crucial for this step. And this black is crucial for this step because look at the difference that it makes. We already had a very high contrast on the skull. Giveaway, giveaway, giveaway. This is our second giveaway. So hold all those thoughts, jump into the live chat as we speak, and type in the word skull. Our second giveaway is one of my 2 remaining original Black Widow pencil sets. It's going to be either the Black Widow or the Cobra. The winner will decide and let me know, and privately in the Discord server, and I will send them out that particular box of pencils. So type in the word skull in the live chat right now. All the skulls are popping off the screen as we speak. If you typed in the name, the word, I keep saying name, I don't know why, like speak is hard. I quit. That's it. You guys run your own giveaways. Everyone type in the word skull in the live chat. You can type it in as many times as you want. You will only be entered once. Unfortunately, Nightbot takes care of all of this technical stuff for me. So in exactly 1 minute, Nightbot is going to produce a winner, and the winner will get one of the original Black Widow boxes, which I will personally send out to you. So type it in, type it in. If you're just joining the channel, subscribe, join the live chat, type in the name Skull, and win a really cool box of pencils. I am still a huge fan of Black Widow pencils, even though I'm doing this coloring in Prismacolor. But I told you guys last time I go through these waves of brand interest, and right now I'm totally stuck on Prismacolor. But Black Widow is still one of my two major favorite brands. Prismacolor and Black Widow is still my two favorite brands. And all of the courses that I teach either in Prismacolor or Black Widow pencils. I do bring in some other brands. There's one course where I actually go through every single brand that I have. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we have a winner. Congratulations, whoever you are. The winner's name is appearing on the screen. Congratulations. Thank you so much for joining my stream, for supporting my channel, for joining the giveaway. Please send me a private message on Discord. My Discord server has been popping up everywhere. The link to it is in the video description. You may already be a member. Send me a private message and tell me which box you want and give me your shipping address, and I'll ship it out as soon as I'm humanly able. So congratulations again. Thank you everyone for playing, for joining. The best part of this coloring is coming up next, so don't leave. This is where the magic happens. We are going to finalize these details on the skull. We're bringing in our high contrast, the little pock marks with the black pencil, really making it all grimy and grungy and gothic and properly creepy. And in just a few minutes, I'll bring in that magical green glow, my effect, the effect that we've all been waiting for, where everything just comes together with that green glow, even though our color scheme is completely different right now. You know, we did all of that green work last week, and now I'm doing everything in these reddish brick colors. It's such a clash right now, but it does already work. It already looks interesting, but it's about to get so much more interesting. Everything's just gonna come together in a very professional way. And that's what my channel is all about. That's what my school is all about. I want you guys to not just doodle, to not just color, but to be professional artists. And I do consider coloring an art form. In fact, I always treat coloring and drawing as the same art form, because coloring is really just drawing. It's just that the sketching step is already done for you by me or by another artist, whatever line work you're working with. But the rest of it, the main part of it, actually making it look 3D, actually making it look colorful, is the drawing part that you are doing as the artist. So absolutely, all of you who are colorists are also artists. And if you are already an artist, you might as well take it a notch higher and become a professional artist. And professional artist doesn't necessarily mean that you sell your work or that you do it for a living. It just means that you put that extra care into your work and you make it look as good as it can possibly look, that you follow the science of art, and that you make your work look presentable and look professional and just very pleasant to admire and to take in. Notice that I keep adding the little freehand details to my skull. I'm a huge fan of doing that. With my black pencil sharpened obnoxiously sharp, I'm adding little cracks to my skull. That's also a very fun thing to do. You can even add, you can put a hole in his side or something and make something come out of it. Go crazy, add your own elements to it, add spiders to it, put a spider on that skull. That would be cool. There are lots of places here, even though this is such a complex composition and such a complex coloring page with lots and lots of tiny detail. There's still lots of spaces you can add your own elements to, and many of you do, and I love when you guys do that. Some people send me private messages asking if it's okay to change my art around, to add something, and I always say absolutely. My job is done once I drew it and published it. The rest of it is on you. Like, you can do with it whatever you want. You can change her, you can give her a mustache if you want. For all I care. You can give her clown makeup, you can turn her into a skull, you can put spiders all over the page, go crazy. This is your page now. You can do with it anything that you want. So, that skull, how can you make it look even creepier? How can you make it look even more gothic, even more Halloween-y? We can add more wear and tear to it. Certainly, we can add more browns and blacks, and we can add cracks, we can add holes. There's a big, huge, clean area of the skull right here that we can just put like a hole into. You can have a snake coming out of it or a spider coming out of it. You can have bats flying across the screen, just like black silhouettes of bats. Lots and lots of cool things that you can do. You can put a spider on a rose. I don't have spiders on this page, but you could add your own and it would certainly look very cool. Go for it. You could add blood splatter to her gown. That's another cool thing that you can do. I love adding blood splatter to things. So feel free to do that as well. All right, now this is a fun color. We have just a few minutes left, and this is where the crazy stuff is starting to happen. Okay, so I have my two separate elements. I have the green realm and I have my terracotta realm. Now let's try to mush them together and start to introduce that green glow. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in this green ochre. And this color is specific to the Prismacolor set. So if you're following along with me, and if you don't have the same exact set, if you don't have the full Prismacolor set, then the color that you're looking for is this kind of a muddy, swampy green. We definitely want it to be green. This isn't a brown color. This isn't an ochre color, but as earthy as possible. And with this green, we're going to go over pretty much everything on her gown. We're going to add it a little bit to the skull as well, and even a little bit to the roses, but we're adding it very gently over all the layers of color that we've already established. And notice that every time that I introduce a new color, I kind of scratch it off on my scrap paper to begin with. So I highly recommend that you do that as well. I do that for myself and I do that for you guys so that you can see what the color looks like in its pure form on actual white paper. But that's also the way that I work just when I work. That's how I decide what color to use. I just scratch it on the page, and if it looks good to me, I go for it. Start doing that. Don't rely on names. Green ochre means nothing. Any color in any pencil set can be called green ochre and it can look completely different. There is a light gray in one of the Black Widow sets that's like a 90% gray. It's ridiculous. You can't trust names. So don't try to match the name, try to match the feel. And what I'm looking for here is this slightly swampy, leafy green, very earthy, a little bit on the brownish side, a little bit on the yellowish side, not at all vibrant green, very, very muted, very muddy. And look how freely I'm adding it to my rose, and look at what's happening to it right away. With these greens that I'm about to introduce, we're going to change our colors into something that I can't even put my finger on. Like the color on the bottom leaves, on the bottom petals of that rose, I can't even describe that color anymore. If you look at the finished page, at the finished version of this coloring, if you were to guess which colors I used, one of the colors that comes to mind is actually orange, but no orange is used here. I'm only using reddish browns, reds, a little bit of purple, black, light colors for my blending, and some greens, but I'm not ever bringing in any yellow or orange yet. In the end, there's some areas of the coloring that look like they have actual orange in it. We are going to create our very own colors, our very own indescribable colors with this amazing layering. So this first step is a little bit subtle, this first green that we're bringing in, and it's already starting to kind of bring things together. There's a little bit of a transition area that's happening. Now let's clean it up a little bit. Let's smooth it out a little bit. Remember, this is the most important step. So I hope you're still all tuned in. And if you're watching a rerun of this, don't speed through this. Don't skip through this. This is highly important. This is the most important step of this entire coloring. It's happening on the screen right now. And it will be happening for the for the next 5 or 10 minutes. So right now I'm smoothing everything out with my 20% French gray. You may not need this step depending on how many levels, how many layers you've already added, depending on the paper you're working with, depending on the colors you're working with, and of course, depending on whether or not you even have a 20% French gray. Because if you don't, then obviously you can't do this step. But like I keep saying on every single show, I highly recommend that you just get this pencil as a standalone purchase on Amazon. They're usually available. There are some days when people tune into Amazon, they're like, oh, they don't have them in stock right now. But every once in a while, they are in stock. If you are able to get this as a standalone pencil, please do so. And this is your last chance to give me a treat. Thank you so much, everyone, for enjoying. Well, maybe a second to last chance. Well, you still have a few minutes. These are some of the last chances that you have to give me a treat. Thank you so much for all of the super chats, for the super thanks, for becoming my patron or becoming a channel member, and for all the ways that you support this channel and make this show possible. Remember that artists have to eat as well, and if I wasn't supported by you guys, I wouldn't be able to bring you shows like these. So you make it possible. All of the people who dropped me a super chat during this show make this possible. I thank you so much, and I hope you're enjoying the show, and I hope you're not just enjoying the show, but you're trying this effect on your own as well. Once you have this coloring done, or even if you're just in the process of making it and you're a few steps into it, please share what you have with us. Join the Discord server and show us what you're working on, and ask us any questions. We're all there to help and to guide you with anything that you may be working on, or you may be stuck on, or you may be exploring. So just one more step left, a super duper magical step that's left to bring everything together with this amazing, weird green Halloween glow. Wait for it. Wait for it. I am going to slurp my coffee and let you guys chat for a minute. My lovely assistant is snoring. And here it comes, chartreuse. Remember that we used green chartreuse for that glow on the rim light, on that hair light, on the face and the hair. So we're bringing back the same exact light green chartreuse, and we're adding it to all the areas that we left either colored, either uncolored or very lightly colored. But not only, we're actually going to trail that color off over everything that we colored. And this is that magical, strange pigment that I was talking about earlier that looks kind of orange. We're adding the chartreuse over the browns that we've established, and we're creating this kind of an orangey glow, but it's not really orange. It's like, you can't describe that color, right? Because there's so many gradient transitions that are happening within it. If you were to guess, like if I was to guess, if I was to look at this and to guess what pencils were used, I would absolutely mention orange. Yet no orange was used. Colored pencils are an amazing medium. There's so many things that you can do with them that lots of people don't even realize that you can do, which is why I teach an entire course on how to use colored pencils like a pro, which I invite all of you to join if you haven't already. Remember that I have a sale happening from now until October 31st in the Academy with 15% off all of my courses. So now is a good time to come in and check it out. Remember that all courses have a free preview section, so you can see what's in store before you even commit to anything. All right, this part, okay. Even though I hate green, even though last week was very stressful for me, this week I'm okay with it because this is the final touch. It's only going to take a couple of minutes, and it's not really like an emerald green. The chartreuse I'm okay with because it's a little bit yellowish. It's kind of this golden glow. This light green, this light chartreuse green is something that I can tolerate a little better than proper greens. And we're adding it as something that's just bringing everything together in this magical fantasy glow. And I love my glow effects. I love my fantasy glow effects and all sorts of glow effects. So this part is making me very happy. But remember, if you are adding this chartreuse glow to everything, add it to everything. Don't just add it as patches here and there. Make sure to trail it off over the colors that we've already established. And we have to add it to everything. Even though some of our elements here are very dark, we're going to add this green chartreuse to everything, starting with our skull. Don't be timid, go over everything that we've colored, but with layering transitions, with gradient transitions, not just a solid, even layer of this chartreuse. We want it to be a little bit patchy, you know, because that's how it is on her face. So we want to mimic that. So a little bit patchy, a little bit here, a little bit there, but it has to generally cover every single element that we have on the screen. And to me, like, especially that part right there with the skull, mwah, just amazing. Like, that's my favorite part, is adding that green chartreuse a little bit to the face of the skull. And of course, right now, adding it to our tea rose is also creating that amazing kind of an orangey effect. It's just so fantastic. And with Prismacolor pencils, this effect is very friendly. So don't neglect the rose. Remember, we don't want the elements to look like they're colored separately and collaged together. We don't want it to look like a mosaic or a stained glass window. We want it to look like a professionally painted composition. And for that, I'm going to let the kitty speak for himself. And for that, we want consistent lighting and we want consistent colors. So the chartreuse has to appear everywhere. I'm going to add just a few little highlights to my rose leaves, and as much as my canvas will bear on the really dark rose. The really dark rose is so dark that the chartreuse is barely visible when I add it, but it's still important to try to add it as much as possible to the lightest elements on the rose. And that's it, you guys. I hope you enjoyed the show. Bring in the final highlights, bring in the final touches. This part was a little bit faster. This took me an hour and a half to do, whereas the green part and the face took me 2 hours to do. So far we're 3.5 hours into this coloring, and I still have the background to do. I still haven't decided if I'm going to do the background as a separate show or if I'll just color it and post a picture of it. Let me know what you'll decide. I have a very interesting idea for how to color the background while keeping everything still very gothic. So it will make for an interesting show. However, if you guys are bored and done with this composition and you just want to move on to something different, we don't have to do it as part 3 of this show. Just let me know right now in the live chat, or let me know in the comments below, let me know in Discord, whatever, you guys. We talk all the time, everywhere. So somehow, one way or another, let me know if you're interested in seeing how I do the background, or if you just want to see the finished picture of it. Thank you everyone so much for all of your donations, for all of your super chats, for becoming my patron, for becoming a channel member, for coloring along with me, for chatting in the live chat. Congratulations to my 2 winners, and happy Halloween to all. I love you guys. I'll see you in a few weeks or whenever on the next show. Bye.